Hello, my name is Rage, and welcome one and all to Hearthstone Deck Building 101, the show where I go through a deck that I have come up with, which is certainly fun, certainly different from the current meta, but also certainly viable competitively. The deck I'm going to be showing you today is my Jack of all trades Paladin, and I've played this deck myself at ranks 5+, and it has performed really quite well, even with Paladins not being the best class at the time of me doing that. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. Last time I did my aggro druid deck, a lot of you guys played that, and a lot of you reported some quite good successes with that, which was fantastic. It's exactly what I wanted, and I hope you guys do the same today. Take my Jack of all trades Paladin deck, see? Here's what I prepared earlier. It's got no cards in, but you know what I'm saying. And I hope you take this deck, change it, customize it to your own personal playstyle, and just go for it. So, why Jack of all trades Paladin? Well, Paladin is a very unique class because it is very, very versatile. It literally can be the Jack of all trades, but obviously everyone chooses their Paladin decks to focus on one thing. Now, obviously, this deck might have appeared in other places, but with that many people playing Hearthstone, every deck kind of exists. But I've not seen anyone majorly popularize this. Popularize! I don't even know what that word was, but I kind of like it. So I've not even seen anyone popularize this type of Paladin play. Now, Paladins can do the early aggro, they can do the board control, they can do the mid-range, they can do the late game, they can do the heavy control, they can heal, they have weapons, they kind of really can do everything, on top of a really useful hero power, on top of having divine shields just everywhere, and that makes them a perfect candidate to do a deck that can kind of do everything. Now, obviously, this means that it's not the strongest at any one of the things it can do, but it also gives you the ability to be supremely flexible. Facing a control deck, switch it up and go more aggro. Facing an aggro deck, tone it back, go more control. That kind of thing. You have the flexibility in a Jack of all trades Paladin deck. So here is the deck that I have come up with. Now, I started with the main, what I think are the two kind of best Paladin cards, Consecration and True Civil Champion. Really fantastic cards. I shouldn't need to explain. True Civil Champion, candidate for the best weapon in the game, absolutely fantastic, hefty damage, and you restore 2 health when you hit it, so it means effectively you take 2 damage off whatever you're attacking. A really useful card. So, the next one is 2 Aldor Peacekeepers, because they are just great. A free body is fine, and the reduce the attack to 1 means that if you play it against anything, as long as there isn't a second minion on the field, you've now got board control, because they can't kill it without removal. It's a very, very nice card. So, they are quite a lot core-y type Paladin cards. So, as this is a kind of all trades deck, I've got 2 Argent Protectors in because I just like the ability to give things shields. Even a turn where I just play a 1/1 hero power and then give it Divine Shield with an Argent Protector, that's still quite a nice, effective turn. Now, I did have a Sword of Justice for a while in this deck, but I just found that it kind of slowed it down a little too much, but I could see an argument for having it in the deck. I also had a Divine Favor for a while. It gave me the good draw power against the control decks, but it's kind of a dead card against everyone else, and as I said, everything in this deck is kind of useful in every situation. Divine Favor is very much not. So, if we go back down, I put in 1 Noble Sacrifice because I kind of like this card. It's obvious to guess what it is, because Noble Sacrifice is really the only good Paladin secret. Redemption is good with like a Harvest Golem or Cam Bloodhoof, or something with a Death Rattle. You know, it's okay. That one can kind of be played. The others, really not so much, but Noble Sacrifice, I do kind of like it. I've only got 1 in. It kills a Knife Juggler, that kind of thing. And every now and then, even though your opponent knows what it is, it does kind of save a minion, and I do like it. I've gotten quite a good use out of it, so I do like to keep it, especially if it triggers other effects, which is kind of nice. Like you say, if I did have a Sword of Justice, Noble Sacrifice comes up, it gets buffed, and it in fact might survive. You've gained a minion. I do really like this card. It has a lot of utility to it. Equality, phenomenal Paladin card. Really should have been one of the cards. I just kind of forgot it at the time. Just fantastic. Supreme board clear. Equality and Consecrate, the board is now yours. It's just fantastic. You want 2 equalities in a Paladin deck. So, for the rest of Paladin cards, I have got 1 Hammer of Wrath, just because it's 4 mana, so it's kind of a slow removal draw, so I don't want 2 of them, but it can be kind of useful, especially later on in the game, and maybe if you draw it early and the enemy only has 1 creature with less than 3 health, you get a bit of a board advantage, and you get some more card advantage. It is okay, but I definitely don't like 2 of them. It's too slow of a card. to have two of them, especially in a deck that's supposed to be able to do everything. Avenging Wrath is absolutely just a phenomenal card as well. The 8 damage is great, comboing with Equality is great. The amount of times I've surprise killed someone to the face with Avenging Wrath damage hitting just their face enough times is ridiculous. It's a really good utility card, and once you get to that 6 mana band, you're really good on a Paladin. Wouldn't Ganyu to Kings because Justice is the best voice acting in the game. No, but seriously, it's a great card. 5/6 body, 6 health, really good stopping those burn decks. What Lonely and Hands free cards is great, and the 8 health is also great. And finally, Tyrion Forging. The weapon is great, so he either gets silenced, in which case, but you know, 6/6 body, not the end of the world, or he takes the full brunt of everything. Divine Shield, Taunt, 6/6 again, not bad. And then you get Ashbringer, and the amount of times Ashbringer has run me a game is incredible. I really like Tyrion Forging, a very good value card most of the time. And then I've also got one Blessing of Kings, just because every now and then it kind of does work. But again, not two of them, because like, same reason for Hammer of Wrath is just a little bit too slow. So in terms of Paladin cards, that is pretty much all I've got going on, and it's just a nice spread. You've got the early game kind of powerful stuff, the main core that you normally see on Paladins, the middle game, and then some of the later slower stuff. You see how it can end up working. I've got 2 Adjut Squires in. This is what lets you kick into aggression if you want. Adjut Squire is great with Blessing of Kings, obviously, because if it survives, you then have a 5/5 with Divine Shield, which is great. So Adjut Squire is a generally really good card. I like to put 1 Fairy Dragon in the deck. Where are you, Fairy Dragon? There you go. Because if you coin out a Fairy Dragon on turn 1, if you're going second, it's a very difficult thing to deal with. It has to get killed. It can't just get straight up target removaled. It's a very annoying card. But again, only 1 of them. Blood Mage Valor's in this deck, some more draw power. The spell power, not really as useful in a Paladin as you think, but still, a free mana Consecrate at 6, a free damage Consecrate, sorry, at 6, is still surprisingly good. You might not need to waste an Equality because of Blood Mage. And surprisingly, with Avenging Wrath at 8 mana, adding an extra 9 to the thing, I just find that sometimes actually really kind of helps. So I just like Blood Mage Thanos. Maybe that could be a card that's removed. I'm still trying to keep this deck fairly cheap, although it is going to be definitely more expensive than the deck I showed you last week. So what is next for this deck? Now, before the patch, I kind of had 2 Novice Engineers in here, but they're 1/1 and they draw a card now. They're not that good, so I'm going to take them out. I'm going to put Nat Pagel in. If not, just put another Novice Engineer, and then I'm going to replace the other Novice Engineer with a Loot Hoarder, because Loot Hoarder is just a lot more valuable these days. And then we're going to put in a Wild Pyromancer, because Equality Wild Pyromancer is fantastic. Normally you'd put 2 of these in a Paladin deck, but just to make room for everything that I kind of want in this deck, I don't have 2 in it. So next up, I've got a Shattered Sun Cleric. Yes, indeed, gives you that ability to buff something, you know, really kind of useful utility card. Especially, the good thing about the cards that buff is because you're constantly summoning 1/1s, it does make it very useful to be able to buff them quite regularly. A Defender of Argus, because it's Defender of Argus. Do I really need to explain that one? Just a very, very exceptional card. Then I've got 2 Argent Commanders, Argent Scum Commanders, or Scum Commanders, or Argent Scum, or Scumgent Commanders, however you want to say it, they're just scum in the deck. And pretty much, we're at the option where we're kind of done with the deck, and I realise there is a spare card. Now, what could that spare card be? This is the point where I've kind of left it open, because there is a lot of arguments that you could make for a lot of different cards to make the deck really, really quite good. So, for example, you could put in the extra Loot Hoarder, get some more draw power. You could put in the Ragnaros to make it a little bit more late game. You could put in a more threatening early game to get a bit more aggro. You could put in another sort of mid-game Paladin card. It really, really does depend. You could throw in the Blade of Justice. Forgotten its name now. Sword of Justice. That's the one. Or you could put in a second Fairy Dragon, maybe a Harvest Golem. See what I'm saying? There's a lot of options for you to customize this deck to how you actually want to play it. So I think what I would do, based on my own preference, is either a second Wild Pyro, a second Fairy Dragon, or Ragnaros. Now, it entirely depends on what I want to do. Control late game or early game. See, that's the thing. You kind of want to test the waters. What are you facing most of all? But because I like him, I'm going to put Ragnaros to finish this deck in. Kind of a high mana curve, so you could just put the second Fairy Dragon in. Really is up to you. But there you go, everybody. That is my Jack of all trades Paladin deck. So I'm going to play a game with it, and you can see how it runs. And yeah, that is all good. So I will see you guys in game. Here we are in game, ladies and gentlemen, against a Warlock. More than likely going to be a Control Warlock. given that they're completely really dominant at the moment, and the nerf to Blood Imp really nerfing aggro Warlock. So I'm expecting control, which means I need some early game removal, which kind of means that literally all of these needs to go. I need my equalities, I need my Aldor Protectors to stop the I need my equalities! Okay, deck! I should be happy about that, but I do not want both of them with no wild pyros, or no way of using them, or the oh god. Well, he's literally just going to draw for the first few turns, so it does give me the opportunity to do a lot of drawing myself, and hopefully I get the ability to counter the giants once it happens. He's probably just going to life tap, I imagine. Oh no, he's going to play his Novice Engineer to get an extra draw, which is good because it means I can exchange and get my draw. I played Blood Mage Final straight away because I know he's playing a Control Warlock, because he's not already played a one cost card, which also means that I can just afford to waste this because I don't need the spell damage. I just want to get through my deck and get counters. That's absolutely perfect for next turn, so I'm going to kill that with that. And we got Tyrion already, nice, so I will play that and end my turn. I'm probably going to take 1 damage. I imagine he'll want to exchange. He's playing control after all. Potentially, I might be seeing a Stone Giant dropping next turn, which is going to be awkward, but I do have the equality, which is really what I want here. He's playing slightly more aggressive than your average control Warlock. I mean, he could very well be playing a more mid-range type Warlock, where he's got a few early game stuff, not the hyper aggression that we're used to seeing before the patch, but still kind of aggressive, which is, you know, it's okay. I've not seen that much of it because I've not played that much since the patch. It does indeed look like that's what he's doing. Okay, so it is a slower control deck. That's kind of, the misread there is going to be rather irritating, but it is not the end of the world. So I could Wild Pyro and Equality, but I feel like for those guys that would just be a little bit of a waste. But I also don't want to give up the fact that I've got a Wild Pyro. Conundrum. How to solve my conundrum? I think I'm going to Argent Protector, and then Argent Protector my Argent Protector, so you can Argent Protector while you Argent Protector. They got each other's backs, don't worry about it. See, so basically I've got 3 2/2s on the field, which will absorb both the enemies, assuming the Warlock doesn't have any removal for me. Harvest Golem? Okay, so yeah, we are definitely dealing with something a lot more aggro-y. Ooh, if he's just going to attack me, then I'm actually really happy at that right now, because it does mean I can Wild Pyro and Equality. Yes, indeed. That is probably what I'm going to do, but I can Defender of Argus, make those two a 3/3, and that would kind of stop him in his tracks, all things considered. If I Wild Pyro'd and Equality'd, I'd be left with a 2/2, he would be left with a 2/1, which I'd then exchange, which would result in complete nothing going on the board. If I played Defender of Argus, made them both 3/3s, I could kill the Void, I could kill maybe the Flame Imp or the Fairy Dragon, but he would still generally have board advantage. So yeah, I'm going to Wild Pyro, and I'm going to Equality, because I really don't see a better move that I can make, which is going to kill all of them. Except that, bring that back, going to bring out one of them, and generally speaking, there we go, yes indeed. He's obviously going to outdraw me just because he is a Warlock, but if I can get to that 8 mana band, then, you know, I can put my faith in the light, I can burn my enemies, and I can put shields up, which is really kind of nice. Next turn I probably am going to just summon another 1/1, give them both taunt, slow him down. I just want to stall until I can get to my heavy guys, which he's going to have a difficult time getting by. I'm going to play Tyrion first, because this is actually a really perfect turn for me, now that I think about it. Please don't bug. Please don't positional bug. Yay, it did it! And I'm just going to get rid of him. Put that Noble Sacrifice in, and there we go. I am in an okay position right now. The nerf to Argus, making him 2 attack instead of 3, really not a big deal. He's there for the buff. He's not there to do any damage himself. Next turn, we're going to drop Tyrion. Tyrion is going to then get Siphon Souled, which I'm going to be really upset about because he never gets to attack. But then I've got 15 damage in the form of a weapon, which is going to go straight to his face. And the turn after that, I'm going to play Rag, which is then going to also get Siphon Souled because I'm really, really unlucky and never get to actually have an opponent who doesn't draw everything that they need. Not that I'm bitter or anything, but it's cool. It's cool, I don't mind, it's cool. What's he going to do? Was he thinking? Ooh, an Argent Commander. Given that I already have this kind of field control, yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to play my Argent, I'm going to summon him, and he is Actually, he's not playing an aggressive deck in terms of charging, and a Hellfire would ruin me, so I'm going to keep the bubble on him, just so if he does Hellfire, I still have something left. I think that's a sensible decision, because he's not going to be charging, he's not going to suddenly burst me down. It's safe to not have a ton against him at the moment, especially with Tyrion Forging and Rag to follow any potential threats up. Alright, so he is going to get killed by the Adjunct Commander, but if he ends his turn without playing any other minions, then I'm going to be almost convinced he's holding a Hellfire. Okay, so he's not holding a Hellfire. I don't know why I played the Dark Iron Dwarf, because that got changed to only be on the turn, but still, it's okay. Alright, so boom, boom. I could... See, I'm tempted to do the Rag right now. I don't need the Tyrion. Tyrion's a better staller. Yeah, if I do that, and then he'll get hit by Rag, that's probably the better play right now. Do that on him, get rid of the Dwarf, and then he's going to take that extra 8 damage, and boom! And even if he does Siphon Soul, then he's down to 3 mana, that's pretty much his turn, and then I'm just going to kill him. But you see how this deck just reacted to what he was doing? Even though I read wrong at the start and thought control, but then it was aggro, you can just sort of switch gears and play a little bit differently. That is the jack of all trades Paladin, and that's why I really kind of like it. Of course, you can engineer this deck to be a little bit more focused on one or the other, depending on the opponents that you're getting in your current play session and stuff like that, but it is a really nice base to work from, and after all, that is what the point of this series is all about, giving you guys a really nice base to work from, and yeah, there we go. Like I'm talking like I've won, knowing my luck he's going to drop 2 Molten Giants and give them Defender of Argus, and I'm going to go cry in a corner, but still, Fairy Dragon's not going to help him. What have he got left? Doomguard, also not going to help him. There goes Soulfire and Flaming, but that's unfortunate for him. He needed that Soulfire, but he needed the Doomguard more. Ooh, what's he gonna do? Alright, so he knows I can kill that with that. He's basically betting his luck on a 50-50 chance of surviving, which he is going to have, or he's just going to accept that he has lost. Well, there you go, everybody. That it is. 1 in 9 turns against a mid-range aggro-y type Warlock. And yeah, mine has been Rage. Like if you enjoyed this video. I will see you all next time, which will be quite soon, actually, for some more Hearthstone. I'm thinking some Arena later. Maybe. I'm going to turn out to be really wrong, but, you know, I don't care. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.